Intentional Living. My name is Teresa Sanderson. I'm very excited to connect with you today. As you pop in to watch, please feel free to say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. And also, if you're catching me on the replay, comment hashtag replay. I do so love to connect with all of you. Um, let's just see here. So, I just want to chat about this a little bit with you today because anymore, I'm seeing many, many more women who just feel overwhelmed. They are anxious, they are stressed out, and having all kinds of problems. And so, for those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Teresa Sanderson. I've been a registered nurse for 30 years. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of Positively Teresa. I'm a major depression thriver and overcomer. So, anyway, I come with personal experience of having overcome overwhelm, and I've done that through intentional living. And so today I want to share with you my secrets and how I do that. So we're going to talk first about what overwhelm is. Then we will talk a little bit about, why we get overwhelmed. And lastly, I'm going to share with you my intentional living secrets so that you can live your life with intention, be very picky and choosy about what you do and don't do. And also, I'll share with you at the very end a special offer to get my positive and purposeful planning system at 50% off today when you watch this video and learn about intentional living. So I think you're going to love it. If that's for you, great. If not, don't worry. You're going to get some great information along the way here. So, what is overwhelm anyway? Overwhelm is that sensation of great anxiety and stress, and it's almost as if we become paralyzed in that moment, even though we know and want to do certain things, either for ourselves, our families, our homes, our businesses, we are somehow immobilized just due to the stress of it, and kind of just want to feel like you want to curl up on the blanket with a blanket on the couch and just kind of forget the world is out there. Maybe pull it over your head. Overwhelm is a big cause of procrastination. We end up delaying on a lot of things because we simply cannot get started. Again, we become immobile with this, and we feel very anxious, very, very nervous, might have trouble sleeping. So it affects us in a lot of different ways. Why are we overwhelmed? Let's look at some of the causes of overwhelm. And the first one would be that we have too much on our plate, and we have become a society of people who really have a hard time saying no. Saying no somehow means, well, I don't like you, or I don't like you enough, or, we have all these things that we construe with it, or I just don't think it's important, or I don't like that. When in reality, it could just mean when we say no, I need that time for me. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking time or needing time for yourself. This is actually a very, very important part of life, and a part of life that we need to learn how to do better is take time for ourselves. So when somebody invites me to something anymore, I consider myself totally booked. My calendar is booked with my priorities for my family, for memories that I'm going to make, for the goals that I have in my business, for the kind of things that I want to do, my activities, my hobbies, all of my favorite things. My calendar is 100% booked. So when somebody comes to me for an appointment or a luncheon or a girls' thing or whatever it might be, if my answer is not a very quick, heck yeah, I want to do that, there's no way I would miss that, then I'm probably going to say something like, thank you very much for thinking of me. I've got something on my schedule already on that day and time, but if something changes, I'll let you know. Boom. I have said no. I have been gracious. I've said thank you for thinking of me, right? There's nothing in there that says I might not like you or anything negative. It's just saying I am already committed. And you know what? In my mind, I am. I own my calendar. I am the CEO of my calendar. And that's what I want to teach you how to do today is really own your calendar and own your time. Because when we find ourselves with too much to do, it's usually because we just didn't know how to say no to begin with. Okay, so that is a very easy way to say no. You can rewind this at the end and get that quick little statement, but it's a winner. You can use it over and over and over again. Another reason we get overwhelmed is because we have this feeling that we just don't have enough time. Well, you know what? We got 24 hours. Everybody has 24 hours in the day. We don't get any more. We don't get any less. And the trouble is, we don't get to do anything over. We never get time back. So, unlike money, we can spend money but there's usually another payday, right? When we spend time, you hear people talking about spending time. When we do that, we don't ever get it back. There's no way to get it back. So we have to be very careful to make sure that we have time for the most important things in our lives, the things that we wouldn't ever want to miss out on, like making meaningful memories with our families and that kind of thing. So, but all too often we can get too busy again because we don't know how to say no. And also because we may feel like, well, everybody else's kids are in every single sport, and, our kids need to be in every single sport too if they're going to have the same opportunities as those kids. And so one thing leads to another, and before you know it, we're exhausting ourselves with trying to live a life that keeps up with what everybody else is doing, regardless of the effect that it's having on us personally and on the life of our family. So here's the thing: when you feel overwhelmed because of all the activities and things you have going on, I think our young people are feeling it too. I think our children are feeling it too. And so I think we need to be very, very mindful of when we feel overwhelmed, who else in the house might be feeling overwhelmed, because I know as a kid that I put some pressures on myself to do things just because my siblings had done them, you know? And so I think there's a lot of stress coming at us in a lot of different ways, as far as, kids are expected to perform a certain way and do a certain number of things. And we have to be very careful and make our own individual decisions and encourage our children to do the same, right? Because they're learning how to live life under our roof, and we sure want to teach them the right way. Keeping up with the Joneses. Oh my goodness. What if there's a brand new house going up next door and a couple of new cars in the driveway, and people coming out, dressed to the nines all the time, and maybe you're feeling like, gosh, I want more of what they have. And so maybe I need to get a second job, or I need to be, somehow making more money, or doing something like that. And so this can cause us to be dissatisfied in our own space and with the wonderful things that we already have, and cause us to chase something that probably doesn't even exist. So we have to be mindful that, when we're thinking maybe that our life doesn't compare with the picture perfect life of other people, because a lot of other people would probably love to be in your situation, but we never think of it that way. So again, this is another reason that we can be overwhelmed. Distractions are another huge reason that we can be overwhelmed anymore. If you think about it, the number of notifications, emails, Facebook, Snapchats, TikToks, whatever it is, binging and dinging on your cell phone, in your pocket, in your purse, on your person, um, that is driving our brain crazy. And you know why? Because our brain can't determine which of those pings and dings are relevant and which ones are not. Our brain is already overwhelmed because of the speed of communication with what technology can give us right now. Our brain is totally, totally overwhelmed. And so when all those messages are coming in and your brain can't decide which is most important, okay, did you ever think about, why did I get stuck on Facebook for 2 hours anyway when I really had that big thing to do? That's because your brain cannot figure it out. Your brain cannot figure it out. And so it will let you get sucked into doing something that has nothing to do with your goal for the day or the week or the year. Okay. So distractions are terrible. And we have them coming at us nonstop every single day, and they're terrible on us. And the notifications that we get on our cell phones and stuff, if you don't know it, they are addictive. They cause a release of a chemical in our brain called dopamine, and that is the same chemical release that you would get if you took a hit of cocaine or a hit of heroin. So crazy stuff, but it is absolutely true. So we have to be very, very careful. And I encourage people all the time: turn off your devices, turn off your notifications. When you're working, only have the documents and tabs up that you absolutely need to have to work on a certain project, because otherwise you're going to get pinged and dinged and you'll never, ever get done, right? So, and then we have probably multitasking, poor quality sleep. And if you're a believer in multitasking, I do need to let you know that multitasking does not exist. We were sold a false bill of goods in the 80s that we could actually do two cognitive functions at one time. And if you can look at, just with me reasonably right now, the number of accidents that come from texting and driving, that is two cognitive functions at the same time. How many deaths have there been? How many accidents have there been? Truly, we cannot do two cognitive functions at one time. Can we walk and chew gum at the same time? Yes. One's a physical action, one is a cognitive action. Okay. So we can definitely do that. But when it comes to two thoughtful processes, cognitive brain activities happening at the same time, we cannot. absolutely cannot do it. So, how you advance in your work is to tackle one project at a time that is going to get you step by step to your goals. Okay. Don't get sucked into multitasking. It's a false bill of goods for sure. Financial stressors. This is another thing that can cause us to be overwhelmed. And again, this kind of comes with a few of the things that I've mentioned already that, if we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, or maybe we just so desire that our kids have the opportunities maybe that we didn't have, and we want to put them in every activity and all of that kind of thing, we can end up with a lot of financial stressors to where we become overwhelmed. And what else happens? We lose all the joy, right? We lose all the joy in our lives because we're trying to create a competition in living when what's happening next door has nothing to do with what's going on in your home, right? But it's easy to get trapped into these things and just with the wants. And anymore, my husband and I always ask when we're going to get something: Is this a want or is this a need? Where are we at with this? Is this something we want or is it something we need? And I think those kind of questions went by the wayside a long, long time ago. So the summary, that as you look at overwhelm, it's a vicious cycle, and it's something that is very, very present in our society. I think probably 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we never really heard the term overwhelm. But anymore, it is just a word that you probably hear on an everyday basis from somebody that you know. People are always talking about being overwhelmed. And I think what a terrible spot that is to be in. But you know what? When I came down with major depression in 2010, I remember being and feeling overwhelmed and becoming immobile. Okay. I I knew everything that needed to be done. I wanted to do it. I could not do it. So let me share with you now the number one way to overcome overwhelm, and that is through intentional living. So what is intentional living? It's a great catchphrase, isn't it? But what does it mean to live intentionally? When you live with intention, it means that you're thoughtful about every decision that comes your way, about how you will spend your time. Okay. Living an intentional life means that as you consider the activities in your life, you're looking for meaning, you're looking for quality, you're looking for making memories and being present in those things, not just being there at memory making events, but being fully present. So if you're at someone's graduation ceremony, it means your phone is off, or maybe you left it in the car so that you can be present in that moment. It means that you plan to do things like even your own self-care, right? Taking care of yourself is a part of intentional living. It's knowing that it's okay to say no to some things and yes to others, and to even think about things before you commit to them. Okay. Intentional living is very, very different than living from Monday to Friday. Okay. It's very, very different from living, well, living for the weekend, right? We used to hear that old song, working for the weekend. No, 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 that is too small. That is too small. You have this grand life, that is stretched out before you, and how will you fill it? That's what intentional living is. It's deciding. For me, it happens at the end of every year. I make a plan for the following year. Bear with me. If you don't think planning is good, or if you don't enjoy it, know that this takes me and my husband. We do this together. It takes us about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and we sit down and we just think about, how do we want next year to look? And so we pencil in things like, for instance, I am blessed to still have both of my parents. So how often are we going to see my parents? And we might say every month or every other month. And so then we go to next year's calendar and we tentatively plug in some dates. Okay. My husband is one of 9 siblings. So how often are we going to connect with his family? Who are we going to connect with? How are we going to do that? How do we see that happening? What home repairs might we tackle this coming year? What new hobbies might we do? What are our financial goals? Um, what vacations will we take? Where will we travel? And all of these kind of things. And what will we do to cultivate relationships with our grandchildren? All of these things are very, very important. We put this stuff, all this good stuff, into our year first, so that when life happens, right, we have a great plan, at least a sketch of what we're going to do from the beginning of the year all the way to the end. So that when December 31st comes our way, we can literally say, "Oh my gosh, holy smokes, what a year. That was an incredible year. Can't believe everything we got done. That was just amazing." But trust me, there's a lot of people on New Year's Eve every year going, "Huh, where'd the time go? Wow, where did it go?" There is no more losing track of time when you live it with intention. And I'm not saying it feels like you're working with a drill sergeant. It's not that at all. It's totally saying, I own my time and I'm going to make the most of my time in the ways that are meaningful for me. Because you know what? If I didn't put in there how often I'm going to visit my parents and have a tentative plan of when I'm going to do that, would I do it? I probably wouldn't, right? And their lives, they're in their 80s. I have to be mindful of where they are. And also, I know at this point in my life, being 55, that tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? I know that. I've seen that enough. I've been a hospice nurse for crying out loud. So I know that. But all of these things factor in to my thinking. And so intentional living decreases your overwhelm because of the satisfaction that you have as you live each and every day in alignment with what you value most. Okay. When I ask people what they value most, it's usually not, well, my boat outside. It's usually not anything like that. It's my family. It's my husband, my wife, my children. It's that, you know. And so that's when you live in alignment with what you value most, you make very different decisions. And the biggest reason we're overwhelmed is, get this, drum roll, brrr, biggest reason you're overwhelmed is because you value this the most, and the choices that you've been making don't show it. Okay. So when you live in alignment with what you value most, your life reflects it. Your life reflects it. Your choices reflect what you value most. And so if you say, I value my family the most, your family's going, heck yeah, she does. I see it every single day that my mom values me the most, right? But I worked with a guy years ago who said, oh, my son is very important to me. He's 17. He's going to be moving out soon. Da 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 da. But this is a guy who never had his son on his calendar, and he was telling me, my son always says, "Dad, you're too busy. You're never around. We never do anything together. I want to go hiking with you." And I just told him, I said, you need to put him on your calendar. He needs to go on your calendar first, because if that's truly what you value, that's where he'll be, right? Here's the two things that indicate what we value most: how we spend our time and how we spend our money. That will tell you right there what you value most. But here's the thing, those are our most valuable assets, are our time and our money, and we don't get taught how to manage either one. I think it's a crying shame. But so as we talk about this today, and I hope this is helpful for you. Again, as you pop in, say hi. If you're catching me on the replay, comment #replay. But living with intention just means that you're very thoughtful and you carefully make choices about what you want to do and not do, so that your choices always align with what you value most. And so if your family is the most important thing in your life and there's some optional overtime at work, you're able to make ends meet with the salary you have, but, optional overtime is really pretty cool, but the kids want to do something special. Will you choose that overtime or not? Probably not, if this is what you value most. You see what I mean? But life is going to throw us curveballs like that. And who would say, well, why wouldn't you pad your pocketbook? That's going to be your choice and your call. But when you live with intention, just know that you're going to be careful about those choices. It's not just that automatic, yeah, I'll do it, kind of thing. It's not that anymore. So, getting started with intentional living, the very first step is to identify what you value most. And I also want you to look at, as you determine what you value most, does the life you're living right now reflect that? And that's sometimes painful to look at, because it may not right now. But you know what? That's okay, because we all have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. And then, do the choices that you make every day reflect what you value most? Do your actions consistently reflect what you value most? You see all that? So if all this is in alignment for you, that's great. If it's not, then we need to talk. So, maybe you're wanting things like more family time. You want more time for relaxation, time, you want some work life balance. Who doesn't want that? So elusive, right? Time for yourself, creative hobbies. When you live with intention, you create a balanced life, because you're saying, you're carving out. I teach you how to carve out time for what you do for you, what you do for your family, how you nurture your relationships. I teach you how to carve all this out. And so it's not a big job. So it will be clear when you live with intention that what you value most is in alignment with how you live. Every decision you make, every action you take reflects that. So, let's see. So, when you think about how do you do it, how do you do it? Think about what you value most. I want you to reflect on the life you want to have, how you want life to look in the future. That's an important step. Create goals of how you're going to live your new intentional life. Plan to create intentional days, weeks, and years. And then you just rinse and repeat. It's just over and over and over again. So if that all sounds like gibberish, don't worry, because I have a system for you. And my planning system, my positive and purposeful planning system, actually starts with a bird's eye view of the year. We talked about that. It's like this 30,000-foot view of what do I want the next year to look like? And so right now, well, anytime really is the perfect time to get started with intentional living. Okay, it's the perfect time. But in a new year, it's fantastic because there's 365 glorious days coming your way. What will you put in them? Okay, years don't just happen to me anymore. Time doesn't just happen. I put into it what I want in it. Yes, there's an occasional kink, right? There's something, life is always going to happen. But if I have my plan to live with intention, even how I respond to chaos becomes different because there's just not that much of it in my life anymore because I choose to live differently. Do you see what I mean? And so overwhelm just really doesn't enter in anymore. So, but anyway, you start with this 30,000-foot view, plan for the year, and then you put in there everything that you have goals for. Maybe you'd like to lose weight. Maybe you want to grow your business to a certain level. Maybe you want to have a certain amount of money in the bank at the end of the year, home repair, all this stuff. You'll think about it. And then from week to week, you create goals, 3 goals, just 3, that you're gonna work toward that week so that you can get closer to those goals. Okay. And then every day during that week, you do a 10-minute planning and you set up your top 3 vital priorities that you're going to take care of each day during the week. And every day, I just ask you to take like 10 minutes and plan for the next day. And you just need 3 tasks that you're going to take. There are 3 vital tasks that if you take those, even if the whole day falls apart, you have car trouble, got to tow the car, somebody ends up in the emergency room, whatever, you can put your blinders on and focus on those 3 things. And you'll be able to push your business forward and your life forward in the right direction, even when life goes nuts. Okay. So I want to thank you for listening to my presentation today. I want to thank you for being a part of it. And I'm going to share with you in the links where you can pick up my positive and purposeful planning system. The unique thing about this planning system is, first of all, it's way more than just a planner. It's a time management and planning course that you get from me, and believe me, I have spent oodles and oodles of dollars, thousands of dollars, to learn what I've learned about time management and productivity management. And I've learned from greats like Darren Hardy, Michael Hyatt, and Mark Joyner. And so now I have distilled that down into my own time management and planning course. And you get not only the course, but you get all of your planning documents. So, unlike a planner that you would buy off the shelf at the store or from Amazon, this is a never ending planner. You will never buy another one again. And so today, this is $37 for you. It is half off. And so I hope that you will take advantage of it. I will provide a link for you to connect on that. And thank you so much for being a part of this presentation. I will probably also share a link for you for I have a free 90-day training in my Facebook group called From Startup to Profit in 90 Days. And so if you're interested in that, I will have a link for you to join that as well. Thank you so much for being a part of my life and a part of my day. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.